Well, first of all, thank you and welcome to visiting us here at the Miramar Police Department. My name is Leonard Burgess. I'm your Chief of Police.
Bonjour and welcome to Adjust the Volume. My name is Guylaine Berry and today I am here with a very interesting guest, a friend and someone that is also providing safety in our community. However, I've known him for years from a different city, and now we are here in the city of Miramar. And our friend here, Lenny Bridges, is the new chief of the city of Miramar. And I think that there's a lot you can learn and know about him. But he's not just a chief, he's also a father, someone that cares, and someone that is very involved in our community. So, Chief Burgess, welcome and thank you so much for being here on Adjust the Volume.
Well, thank you, Ms. Berry. Thank you for this opportunity of being here on Adjust the Volume. More importantly, I love this opportunity when I get a chance to talk to you, the community, and just dealing with the multiple multicultural aspects that I've been over my last 37 years in this business. It's just the perfect type of closing I would like to be here in a diverse community of the city of Miramar.
Yes, and Chief, I've known you for years, and I've known you for being assistant chief for many years, and now you are the chief of police. So before we get to your experience being the chief, how did you get there? Before we get to all those beautiful questions that our listeners would like to know more about you, I would like to know a bit more about you, where you come from, how did you get to become a chief, and some of your experience. And how were you able to adjust the volume? Because adjust the volume is about talking about adjusting your mind to pursue your purpose. So tell us more about who you are, where you come from, and I know that you're married to a Haitian woman and all those beautiful things.
Well, once again, thank you for this opportunity, and I like the way how you open it. Married to a beautiful Haitian woman. Nevertheless, I'll share as well. So actually, I was born here in Miami, Florida. And my mother is from Panama. Her name is Beatriz Villa Cruz. And that she met my dad, who was in the United States Marine Corps. They were on a military base. They connected together, and they came here to U.S. and started a family of four. I have an older brother and two younger sisters. And then as a result of that, I went to school down here, a little private Catholic school called Pace High School. Stayed there. And after that, I graduated, went to Miami-Dade, completed my associate degree there. And then before I pursued my bachelor's, my father was in the Marine Corps, so I said, let me join the Marine Corps. And then as a result of that, plus I think the uniform was nice and sharp, so I said, this is something I have an interest in. And I always said the few the proud. So I always pursue challenges that are like that, and went to the Marine Corps and came out of the Marine Corps and came back and said I wanted to be either a police officer or a firefighter. And sure enough, the God from up above gave me that right path and said, go with the police department, and I was hired in 1984 with the City of North Miami Police Department. And I was there for about 4 years, and actually I'm the first black motorcycle officer there, going back to 1984, the first black motorcycle officer cop there in the City of North Miami. I remember those times. There were good times, and there were some challenging times. I'll leave it like that. And then moving forward, at that point in time, I wanted to go with a larger size organization, and I joined the Miami-Dade Police Department in 1988. And I stayed there for 22 years, just going through the entire ranks from the officer to the sergeant to the lieutenant commander, and then eventually becoming a major, a division chief over several divisions. And then I had responsibility before I retired there to look over North Operation Division, which was pretty much everything that was north of 36th Street to the beaches all the way to the ranches of Miami Lakes. After that, I had a great opportunity. I said, let me go ahead and pursue. I never had a chance to be a chief of police. That was one of my goals that I had in life at that time and moment. I learned a lot from the multicultural and socioeconomic communities in Miami-Dade, but here I went back to where I started from, there in the city of North Miami. I had an opportunity to come there as a major over investigations. I got promoted to a assistant chief, and I stayed there about 2 or 3 years, and then eventually I became the chief of police there. And I stayed there for about a total of 10 years. And I retired again at this point. And I said, that should be it. 32 years here, there, thanking God, the bless, the health and family. And then grandchildren started coming about in my life now. So I do have 3 grandchildren, a 10-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a 4-month-old granddaughter.
Oh, wow.
So considering that chance and opportunity, that's when I came across the chief here at Miramar at various chief conferences throughout. And he gave me an opportunity to start a career here and be the assistant chief for him. He was here for 5 years. I played that role as the assistant chief. He eventually retired. And then I was given that opportunity by the city manager here to be the interim chief. And then eventually I was promoted on February 14th, Valentine's Day, and became the chief here of Miramar.
Oh my God. So that was your Valentine's Day
Yeah,
gift.
oh, yes, it was. Yes, that was truly, that was an angel with a little heart saying, hey, we're going to make you a chief and enjoy your Valentine's Day. That was a true gift. Yes, I truly enjoyed it.
Thank you so much, Chief. I learned a few things about you that are pretty interesting. And since you were very young, you wanted to be a chief of police. You didn't know where, but you wanted to be a chief of police. So throughout your career, throughout your experience, why did you want it to be the chief of police when there are a lot of people talking about being in the police force, and nowadays I don't know how many young men and women are really opting or volunteering to be in the police force. So why did you choose to be in the police?
Ms. Berry, that's an excellent question. In fact, it's one of the most passionate moments of my career for my reason of trying to pursue at a higher rank. I just felt the higher rank I became in any organization, the more influence I can make on a community. And when I say community, to me, the influence I can make on the senior population, the influence I can make on youth programs, the influence I can make in leadership, empowering, and succession planning. And that was my focus. And I said, what can I do in a sense? So there were several things. I was so focused, and then I realized I had a purpose. And that purpose was actually to influence many others in this so-called organization of police. Starting, there was very challenging times, but it was times that I remember that were very difficult times. And there were scenarios that came across my family throughout where police was involved, and I wasn't that happy or proud the way it was handled in those situations. So I always keep that in the back of my mind. How can I make a difference if I was a better police officer? It was always something passionate. Dealing with my mother and dealing with my father in the military. He was a military police in the Marine Corps. And it's always about being a servant leader. And I said here, as I progress, I saw a lot of that I could be a better supervisor. I could be a better middle manager. I could be a better, before I know it, I took all the exams. I did what I needed to do. I got my degrees. And like I said, from the associate to the bachelor's to the master's. And I just really focused on taking as many managerial classes in preparation, personal as well as health, but as well as just constantly being involved with numerous organizations that I felt was influenced. I felt bringing police, public safety, and working hand in hand with the community, that would be of significance to make a difference if I was the leadership over that. I'm a member of the Noble Organization, which is a national organization of Black law enforcement executives. I was a president of the South Florida chapter that was down here. I'm also, my fraternity is Pi Beta Sigma fraternity. And not that I happen to be a Sigma Man of the Year back in 2015, but nevertheless, it was a time and moment I'm quite proud of. It was always about brotherhood. It was always about giving. And it was always about mentoring and providing for our future generation, our future leaders. And then lastly, just being a member of the 5,000 role models. Once again, focusing, mentoring. So all that just came together, and I just realized these opportunities and these interviews and the preparation and the experience, particularly working in multicultural, various type of societies, socioeconomic, various type of communities. It just really made me a whole and well-rounded person for future leadership opportunities. So I took advantage of those opportunities, and now I'm here to say proudly and honored to be here serving this diverse cultural community here in City Miramar.
Awesome. Chief, my question to you today, because I know you serve Miami-Dade County, the city of North Miami, and now you are the chief in the city of Miramar. What is the difference between all those 3 places that you've been serving as the police in all those 3 places, and now that you are in Miramar serving as the police chief? So tell us more about the differences.
And actually, the differences you will see before I end was actually the so-called cohesiveness that came together in a sense. And I say that predominantly the areas that I worked in Miami-Dade Police Department was predominantly of the Latin community, those communities where I spent the majority of my time in. And then slowly but surely, it also gave me opportunities to work South District, was an agricultural community, which was Perrine, Goulds, Naranja. And it was truly different, the aspect of the lifestyle on the south end of Miami-Dade County, and then ending my career working on the north end as well, dealing with the challenges as well. But then now I'm moving to North Miami. And at that time, North Miami, as I mentioned back in 1984, it was a different makeup. And then when I got coming back there in 2010, seeing how that so-called transition of I would say of the Caribbean, but I say more so of the Haitian community, and then how they took, there was a lot of leadership roles that they were taking in. And then before I know it, they were in the mayor, and then eventually the commission, and eventually my bosses, and eventually the whole interaction, and then me realizing I need to build a team that's to be responsive to the people, the community, the language, the culture, and that was a benefit. So to bring all that and see that difference here, which is predominantly of Caribbean in that sense, it was just, it's a difference, but at the same time, I just felt I was at whole. I was at peace, and I just had a clear understanding, and I was in a comfort, as well as the leadership team here, the city leadership team from the mayor to the commission, as well as the makeup of the diverse that I have in my management team, as well as the middle management throughout our entire department. We are extremely diverse in demographics when it comes down to Black or white or Latino, and even more so, we're one of the highest percentage of employees for a police department when it comes to ladies and women here in leadership positions. So I want to share that. We're quite proud of that. And it is Ladies Month, Women's Month.
Yes, thank
So
you.
it's perfect time.
So we know that 1984, and now fast forward to 2022. What differences that you've seen happening in the way of being a leader, in a way of being a police still, and now the police chief. So what differences that you see in the leadership role that the police can play in providing safety in our community?
I'll share with you those differences, which to me were challenges at the time and a moment, which are now is some of the benefits that I see where we have made that change. It's a change of the mindset. It's like a paradigm shift. So the majority of police work that was handled back then, it's just the technology that we have today, this modern technology that allows us to do, that create more safety aspects of it. It's just so enhanced in every aspect. I'm saying from the equipment to the supplies, from not just the weaponry, but also in a sense of the cars, the vehicles, and the so-called training has really enhanced considering what I had back then. I see also the culture has changed. Right now, the culture, it's a new generation. The majority here, even as we're being hiring people throughout, that culture, it's a younger generation. They're more of an educated. They're more of the technology, should I say, and we're benefited. So myself, I realized I have to make that change as a leader, and I have to get people on my team that are willing to so-called tailor their needs to the needs of our younger generation of people that's starting their careers. I see one of significance would be media. I think media back then was not as so significant and not so involved, but this thing called a cell phone that has cameras, and now today I think it's 3 cameras on one phone. The point to be made is it seems like everyone has and it's more documentation. So the actions of the officer, good, bad, or ugly, they're documented the majority of the time, and then before you know it, it's just more difficult and challenging, maybe for that officer that is not on top of his game. But that's who we don't want in our agency, is that officer that probably is not giving a good reputation and wear the patching uniform. Let that be brought out. Let that be dealt with. Let that be disciplined with. In this case here, the good actions of all the officers are also being documented, but also the justification and as well as the documentation. I'm in support of the body-worn camera, just to let you know. And I think it's something that has helped numerous cases where officers actually documented what was said to them, and yet the complaints come in. We have numerous cases where the body-worn camera was able to identify a situation at hand, and I'll be briefly to mention, it was one of our officers had a body-worn camera, made a stop. The gentleman in the car went ahead and tried to speed away, and drove over the officer's legs. The tires of the car drove, and all this is captured on a body-worn camera. So it's just this whole documentation, the whole technology, the whole mindset, the culture, the challenges in media's input right now. You have to make those changes. You have to, and you have to be a leader with the purpose, is what I'm realizing in this so-called world of leadership. I mean, it's more challenging, but I think it's more opportunities for us to so-called step up our game. We're always looking for ways to improve.
Preferred Family Care, yon klinik ka bay bon servis santé nan komunote a depi plis ke 10 l'année. Dr. Patrick Comeus, yon dokter ki chaji ak eksperyans, board certified nan medicine interne, ki gen an pil kompasyon ak an pil pasyans pou tout moun kapab genyen bon santé nan komunote a. Nan Preferred Family Care, nou pale kriol e nou kompon kil ti haïsien nan bien. Preferred Family Care, référence clinique Paola, ak moun ko reme. Relais Chaudy a puis un rendez-vous dans 305 548 85 30. Nous tendez numéro A 305 548 85 30 et nous acceptons toute assurance et même si vous pas d'assurance, nous sommes capables d'aider.
Talking about a leader with purpose. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Thank you.
You know, you're watching Adjust the Volume. And adjusting the volume is about adjusting your mindset so you could push forward for your purpose and deal and get to the goal of accomplishing your greater good and your higher calling. And one of the reasons why we're here with Chief Lenny Burgess from Miramar is because he have accomplished a lot, and you've heard some of the things that he shared with you of where he started and now that he's here. My next question is to you, Chief. How did you surmount some of your challenges, the greatest challenges that you face in your life, and how were you able to surmount them and to be here today? So you could share with some people going through difficult times and to let them know that it's not over until it's over. So how were you able to deal with your challenges?
I say, first of all, number one is staying focused on exactly what you want to accomplish, exactly what is your purpose. I am a great listener. If anything, I'm a great communicator in interacting and building the trust in this community and having that transparency and then having those partnerships. This is something of significance. I'd say from the sergeant's ranks all the way up to our middle management to chief. And then what tends to happen is if this is in place and you build that trust, this is something that you can move forward with in a sense of so-called interacting with other agencies that surround you and more resources come in. These were challenges where it comes to where, as you're probably aware, throughout the country, there was something so-called defunding the police. And in this case here, this city as well as this agency, that was a time and moment for us to so-called step up our game and to fund, but also to so-called look beyond the police perspective, look exactly where the senior population, where you have the youth, and you have the mentoring, the schools, and bring them in all together and listen to the concerns of the residents. The residents has probably been our number one big partnership, business residents as well, but I'm saying as well the intelligence that we get, the information that we get anonymously has really helped our job. And that has really been beneficial because right now we're going through really challenging times. Mm-hmm. And I say this, recruitment. I have attended numerous conferences over the last year or two, and that's the number one challenge for leadership, particularly with police chief, is recruitment. It's that hiring aspect, but it's the retention. So we could hire somebody, try the retention, but so they won't leave to go elsewhere, but to try to hold them in there and let them see the benefits. The strongest thing about our department is the family-oriented aspect of it, mm-hmm. and seeing the results. You're talking about an agency here that has 25 years of accreditation. That's a national credit as well as statewide credit, which we call CFA. So having that type of reputation and ensuring that we so-called provide and justify every document, and as well as input and feedback from the agencies of other agencies, but also from the residents, has really allowed us to so-called re-examine what we're doing and put our resources, put our mindset, but also more importantly, put our people in those areas where there's more of a need to so-called enhance our trust and our partnership and our bond. So that really has allowed me to so-called surmount or overcome some of those challenges that we talked about earlier. But also, like I said, just in closing, it's just really being a servant leader, and if everybody just be genuine and just listen and work together, it seems like things just tend to work itself out. And I'll just close on that topic about that's been our number one concern here in other agencies is the officer wellness, is the making sure the officer comes to work with help, but mental health as well, and just having a peer-to-peer support system and fitness system. And that's something we just instituted over the last 2 months here.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I wanted like more of a personal challenge that you have surmounted. But I know you have a lot going on.
Yes, I do, Ms. Harris. Yes, I do.
And I do have a question when it comes to recruiting, because our young people these days are dealing with some personal challenges as well in making sure that they stay relevant, that can also affect their personal background or their personal how can I say this, reputation, and a lot of times you may not be able to hire them as a policeman or police women. So tell us about some of the challenges and also what you expect the background to be for them to become police.
Well, that's an excellent question. And like I said, that being a challenge for us right now in the hiring aspect, we have to be competitive with all the other agencies. So that's something we have done. We have increased our starting salary. Here it's $57,000. We used to be, it used to be 44 to 46. So I'm saying between city leadership or commission and the citizens allowing us to go forward with these raises. But also here, it was about contracts. Sometimes other different departments, and when it comes to their so-called police union contracts, it made it challenging as well for, maybe that's why people were leaving. We're blessed here where we went ahead and laid out a 3-year contract for the officers, and that's keeps them in retention. Another challenge was those that are coming here, they really don't want to be in the same job for 5, 6, 7, 8 years. So what opportunities are we giving them to so-called become an investigator, to become a detective, to be a K-9 unit, to be a community resource officer, to be a crime scene technician, to be a homicide investigator. Here we tend to rotate and give those opportunities or give them temporary assignments. That's something, even as myself when I was growing up, that's one of the reasons why I left some of the agencies. It's just that once you so-called get caught up in a position and you have to wait 4 or 5 years for any opportunity, you tend to say, what else is out there? So here, we do a lot of that here. We do a lot of empowerment. We put a lot of time into training, and it really has worked out for us. Particularly, I say that in training, where over the last 4 years, there's been a consistent downward trend in the use of force here. It have been, like I said, those numbers 3 years ago was like 61, went down to 41, 31. Now we're at 28 in a sense of those use of forces. But also, internal affair complaints have significantly dropped. I mean, we average about 65,000 calls for service a year. We average less than 5 internal affair complaints or discourtesy complaints. You can see of significance how important how we deal and address the so-called residents that are out there. But besides training, I'll just end on the technology here that we have. And we just went to ShotSpotter technology, which is like a gunshot detection technology that we just rolled out, which really helps the officers in safety, but also the citizens that are out there to let us know in advance in case they can't make a call. This technology we have set up where it will actually activate, alert us, and officers will be there before a call would even be made if there happened to be a gunshot that was detected in a community.
Awesome. And in closing, we know that as a mother myself of 2 Black children, male and female, a lot of times we don't know what's going to happen to our children. And as a chief of police to the city of Miramar, what message do you have for our young Black men and women that are out there? So when they are stopped by the police, what are the procedures so they don't get in trouble, so they don't get in trouble?
Yeah, I'm not going to define trouble, but I will answer the question. I would share the same things as how my father brought us up, him being a father, a Black father, over his two Black sons and two Black daughters, and coming out of the area of Carroll City and going to other surrounding areas. I'll bring that together to now I have a daughter of 31, and I have two sons, 27 and 24, and they're going through experiences, and even myself, I'll share it as well. I say over my 37 years, Robert, that doesn't mean I don't get stopped or detained. And
Oh,
but
really?
in this case here, I need to be so-called, I know exactly to identify myself, but there are things I recognize and I share with my sons and all the organization I mentioned about mentoring. If you get stopped, and I simply say this, on a traffic stop, the best thing you can do is actually just to think about what the officer is thinking. If you could put your mindset that what can I do to put this officer at ease? So if it's something where if the radio is loud, you turn the radio off. If it is the keys and you put it on top. If it's an officer with the flash or whatever else, he's just thinking of every way of possibly so his life will not be taken. So just put yourself in a position as if you're the officer and what he is seeing. You don't want to take any action where it may alert him or make him feel, in a sense, uncomfortable. I say this as well. Have your driver license. If you have it out in time, it's so easy. Most officers just like the driver license out there. Ask, what did I do, officer? 99% of the time, they will tell you what you did or why you're being stopped, why you're being detained. And at that point in moment, you probably just want to listen how that's going to proceed along the way. I think sometimes it may be the officer that escalated. Sometimes it may be the person in the car that escalated. Before you know it, you got two parties that are escalating. The outcomes are probably not that beneficial to either party along the way. Particularly if the officer just wanted perhaps to warn you, realizing that, or maybe a citation, or just asking a question about maybe some suspicious activity and along the way. So these are just, it may sound little, but these are the little things that I realized, particularly in the last 5 or 10 years, where the officer are more, in a sense, concerned of their safety. So, but also, like I say, what's going on here in the community, and you see in a variety of different cities, how sometimes the Black men, in this case, or the Black lady, as they go through, when they're stopped. So just try to put your frame of mind on what can I do to ease that officer at hand. At the same time, trying to put myself, I'm already nervous if I get stopped with a else, and let them know that, hey, I'm here, how can I help you? And normally the outcome in the communications, if it's upbeat and it's positive, it's normally an upbeat, positive results. Hopefully not a citation.
Yes.
It's a warning. So I'll share that as well, particularly. And we push hard on these educational campaigns to the high schoolers, to the middle elementary, about these matters that we're talking about. So.
Okay, awesome. So it is imperative that you know your rights, but also just because you know your rights, that doesn't mean that you have to be aggressive, right?
Well said, yeah. We don't want aggressive officers out there too. So, it works
Yes.
both sides. That is correct.
Yes.
Ms. Ray.
Thank you so much, Chief Burgess. And today you learn about this wonderful person, and that is willing to serve, able to serve, and has been serving for quite a while. And Chief Burgess is right here at the city of Miramar, that is growing business-wise, and a lot of residents are choosing Miramar as their city. However, besides calling 911, if you need some help, there are some numbers that Chief is going to share with you just in case you want to participate in the safety of this city, the city of Miramar. So he has a website where you can learn more about the city, protect yourself more, and also a couple of phone numbers that you can also use to get to know the city of Miramar better.
Yes, in fact, yes. You could go to any of our social media platforms and just put up Miramar PD. And we're there on all 3 social media platforms. We put all of our information out there and update along as well. I do want to mention, as you mentioned about the economic development that's going here in the city of Miramar, it is one of the safest cities here throughout the Broward County, but I'll say this much. I've been here 6 years, as you heard, the other 32 years in other agencies, but here, the last time we had an increase in crime was in 2015. The last 6 years have been a downward consistent reduction in crimes. In fact, last year was the lowest total crimes for the city of Miramar going back to the last 20 years. And as I repeat, it's been a continuous downward reduction in crimes, particularly in violent crime. So in this case here, that's something we're proud of. It's something the residents have really stepped up, as well as senior leadership here, to ensure that environment exists. So when you come to Miramar, the city of beauty and progress, you're coming to also an area where we feel it's safe to conduct business. It's safe for the children to visit our 42 recreational parks that are here. And we do have 3 police stations. Besides the headquarters here, we have an east substation and a west substation as well. With that being said, I'll close on here. If it's something that you want to report a non-emergency, our number is 954-764-4357. Or if it's just general information here, you can call 954-602-4000. Thank you, Ms. Berry.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you so much for watching and for sharing your time with us to get to know more about Chief Lenny Burgess from the city of Miramar. My name is Guylaine Berry, and you're watching Adjust the Volume. Please feel free to subscribe to our channel, Adjust the Volume by Guylaine Berry, or you can also share, like, and feel free to comment. And by you commenting, I'm sure that we can do better, whether it's Adjust the Volume or Chief Lenny Burgess from the city of Miramar. Thank you so much for everything, and thank you especially for subscribing and liking this. Until next time, adjust the volume until the message is clear. Thank you.